Hey, what's up everybody? This is my 2021 Tacoma TRD Sport, and today we're going to do a simple DIY that's going to completely change the front end of this truck. It's going to be pretty inexpensive. We'll remove this air dam as well as paint the grille and the fog lights around white. There's a million of these trucks out there, so it's going to set it apart a little bit. And as an added bonus, we're going to put some BF Goodrich tires on there just for kicks. Alright, so first things first, we got two 10mm bolts we're going to undo here for the front grille. And then there's also two clips on the corner of each headlight here. They're going to pop up for removal. All this is super easy. Once we get that out, we'll be able to remove the grille. But we're also going to have a harness that we're going to need to remove that's connected to the emblem here for your radar sensors if you have this equipped. So just pop out your 10mm socket. And then here's what the two bolts are going to look like. Just make sure you put those aside, don't lose them. Next thing up is just take a flathead screwdriver and pop these two clips up, and they'll slide right out. The last obstacle that we have to remove the front grille is this wiring harness. I've already kind of pre-pinched this, but you'll squeeze this tab and push it through. That's going to let the wiring harness loose. And then you'll see this tab here. You just want to squeeze from the bottom and pull out. Now that you're completely disconnected, just kind of pull back and lift slightly. The whole front end will just come straight out. And here's your grille, and here's the front end of a 2021 Tacoma. So obviously we're not going to paint on the tailgate, but this is a good spot to work on the next step. If you just want to grab a blanket or some clothes and flip your grille over so you don't scratch it, there's going to be a series of screws that go around the grille, and once we loosen those out, we're going to be able to take the actual grille insert out. After you do that, you're also going to want to take out your radar, the safety sense here. Basically what's going to happen, there's going to be 4 screws, 2 big ones and 4 smaller ones. Just release those and this will lift right out. With the sensor out of the way and the logo, which just clips in, the next thing you're going to want to have to do is get rid of this little tab right here. I actually clipped mine and then just pulled this wire out of the way. And we're also going to be painting the fog light surrounds. These parts right here on each end will pop out with a flathead screwdriver. You just want to kind of be careful, put it in, give it a quarter turn, and then everything should start to unclip, and just kind of give it a pull and everything will come out. You'll want to repeat this process on both sides. You shouldn't have any trouble getting them back in, but luckily they're marked left and right, so that's going to come in handy just in case you forget what's going on later on. And then here we have our grille that we'll be painting, and then the 2 fog light surrounds. And you'll notice here in the middle there's also some little clips where the logo was, so that's something you don't want to take off prior to painting. These just slide right out, and you can put those back in later, but here's those clips we'll put aside for now. The rest of this plastic we'll be painting on the truck, except for the air dam down below. We're actually going to be removing that. It's pretty simple. This is a very easy mod. I'll show you the screws. There's about 11 bolts that go all the way along here, and they're 10mm. Just take those out, and here they all are. And here's your air dam. It's supposed to save you a couple of miles per gallon. The way I'm driving and not being on the highway, it's not really going to affect me. And the good thing about taking this off is it makes it look like it's already set up a little bit higher. Kind of makes your truck look like it's got a lift. Gives you a little bit more extra clearance, but I just prefer the look of it. So now that we've got our parts off, the next thing we're going to do is clean them up really well. I use these straightforward SOS pads. They're lemon scented. I don't think it really matters. But we're going to scrub this front end here, as well as our grille and our fog lights around that we've already popped off on each side, and give it a good clean. This is going to help remove any of the dirt and oil. Luckily this truck's pretty new, so it didn't have too much build up, but no matter what, you're just going to want to make sure that you clean it. It's also going to give it a light sand to help the paint hang on, so that's going to be somewhat of a prep before we paint this. It's going to make your paint last a lot longer. Make sure you rinse it all really good and make sure that everything is actually dry as possible, like super dry, before you even begin thinking about painting. But once things are dry, go ahead and get some Rust-Oleum Primer Adhesion Promoter. This is going to help the paint stick and hang on to these rather smooth parts. This is ABS plastic. You're going to want to take it in very light coats, just like you're going to do with the paint in the next steps. If it's starting to pull up on you or it looks wet, you've done way too much, let it dry. But just doing these light coats like this, it's almost going to evaporate as soon as it hits the plastic. And once we get this first coat on, we'll do a second coat, and then we're going to lay the layer of paint down within the first 10 minutes. Now for this project, I was actually going to try to use the Duplicolor Perfect Paint Match, the 040 Super White, but I had bought another paint. It's a Krylon Fusion Satin Bright White right here, and I tested it out and it actually was a closer match, so we're just going to roll with that. So for the first step here, again, within the first 10 minutes, of putting on that last coat of adhesion promoter. We're just going to go ahead and continue to do some really light coats, especially on this first go round. Just kind of coat everything nicely and then let it dry. The good thing about this paint is it only takes 1 minute between coats. So what I did, every couple of minutes, I just went ahead and gave it another light coat. Wound up doing 3 to 4 coats tops, and then I came out with this really nice super white grill and the surrounds. To my surprise, it matched everything really well. It was half the price of the Duplicolor, and you got twice the paint. So you really can't lose by going this route. Now the trickier part, but the most rewarding, this is what's going to make the whole thing come together, is getting this plastic insert painted. I went ahead and used some paper and some painter's tape and some drop cloths and just got everything covered up as best as I could and repeated the same process. You want to cover up your fog lights, cover up your grill, anything that might get paint on it. And then here we go. Got our layers on. Again, we did the adhesion promoter and then did the 3 to 4 light coats of the Krylon Fusion satin bright white. You want to make sure you get up all in the fins and underneath. It was a little bit trickier being on the truck, but this is really what's going to pull off the whole look. And while that front end's drying, I'm going to go ahead and let you check out the grill. We got everything popped back in place. And hey, if that's not a match, I don't know what is. Check it out. So you've heard it here, Krylon Fusion satin bright white, no clear coat. I'm going to leave it with no clear coat. That way if it does chip or I have any issues, I can touch it up later without any issues. And without further ado, here's the finished product with everything put back on the truck and assembled. Looks great. This turned out way better than I thought it would. Again, there's thousands of these trucks out there, so I want to do something to set mine apart just a little bit. I'm curious to see what it's going to look like if someone does this in the red or the voodoo blue, any of the other matching colors. I think that'll look great. But yeah, I'm super pleased with this. And as the added teaser, I want to go ahead and show you guys what it looks like with the BF Goodrich KO2s. Looks great with these stock wheels. That really just brings the whole look of the truck together. But either way, I hope you liked the video. Thanks for tuning in. Click like, click subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer you back as soon as possible. Peace, guys.